I'm just going to have to go and do the usual talk thing. So we were talking. Uh, Antonique, thank you so much for doing this. I've been wanting to talk to you since I talked with uh, Abe and Won't Be Silent.
Hmm.
And this is what really got me. This is what really got me. Your singing on that
Thank you.
was so good.
Thank you.
And and Cedarine said, you should talk to Antonique because she's this great singer, and that's my main thing. And this whole time, I've been thinking you're this great singer, but turns out you are that, but you're an actor. You've got lots of credits. What-
It's been a
So,
blessing.
so tell me what is happening for you right now. You said you have a couple of new things coming up.
Oh my gosh, this is a big week. So I'll start in consecutive order. Friday, I executive produced a stand up comedy special that is centered around climate change and environmental justice. It's set in Norfolk, Virginia. It's called Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave. And it's literally a stand up comedy special with four amazing comedians who, they're telling some regular life jokes too, but it's about spreading the message about what's happening with people of color and climate change. And so that's coming out at the DC Environmental Film Festival on Friday. Everybody will be able to see that.
In
And
Washington, D.C.
yeah, it's the biggest environmental film festival in the world. And
Oh,
so we're debuting there, and you can vote. Everybody vote, watch it, and vote. You're gonna learn, but you're also gonna laugh. It's turning it's all about Norfolk, Virginia, which is a area of Black people, and they're on the front lines. They are literally in jeopardy of being completely underwater. And so you're gonna learn, but you're gonna see Black pain turned into Black joy over about an hour. And it's such a fun way to inspire people and to further the message of the change that needs to happen. So I'm so proud of that project. I did it with the Hip Hop Caucus and Think 100%. And yeah, so that's Friday. And then Sunday, I have the honor of playing the Queen Aretha Franklin's mother, Barbara Franklin, in the limited series Genius Aretha on Nat Geo. So this is the third season of Genius. The first season was Genius Einstein. The second season was Genius Picasso, and this season is Genius Aretha. Cynthia Erivo is playing Aretha Franklin. Courtney B. Vance is playing her dad. I'm playing her mother, and you guys are not ready. It comes out March 21st on Nat Geo at 8 p.m. 2 episodes a night for 4 nights. So you pretty much binge watching it. Sunday night, 2 episodes. Monday night, 2 episodes. Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 episodes, 2 episodes. So you're going to learn so much about Aretha, and you're going to appreciate so much more that she was able to become who she was with all that she overcame. It's inspiring.
all of that gives me two questions. Well, a bunch of questions, but I'm going to start with the first one. Uh, when you go to DC, are you going to DC for
No,
the?
virtual. Because
Okay,
of COVID, everything's virtual. So everybody can watch it, literally. Usually with film festivals, you do have to go.
right.
Usually, traditionally you would have to go to this one and pay and go and sit in theaters and watch, just like Sundance, just like any other theater, any other festival. But because of COVID, a lot of the festivals are, if they're having them at all, are
Mhm.
online. So they're actually letting everybody watch our movie for free. So everybody can tune in and enjoy.
I wanted to ask you about the area that you mentioned that is underwater. Is it on a river and the river?
From rising, it would be from. It's not underwater currently, but they're in jeopardy of literally being uh like Louisiana was underwater with Katrina. The sea levels, if they rise, which they will if things continue the way the trajectory, it's pretty much guaranteed which is why we're all battling the effects of climate change. We're battling to get legislation changed so that we can move. I mean, thankfully, we have a president who's with it. You know,
Finally.
4 years we were moving backwards, so now it's more urgent to really speed forward to undo the last 4 years that set us way back. So I'm just so excited.
Well, and I like to hear about that because most of the time we think about the Florida Everglades, uh, l- in New Orleans,
Hmm.
all of those kinds of areas. But here's an area that's right outside of DC.
Right, and you're not hearing about it. But there's a lot of areas that are really having some major issues or about to face some major issues where we're trying to, you know, shout the warning signs like, hey guys, this can happen. This is coming. This is on the way. Let's do what we can to circumvent it to make sure this doesn't happen. And so that's why I'm so excited about this project, because there are more Norfolks. There's a bunch of other places in the country that nobody's hearing about, and people are struggling, people are dying.
And there are probably more than likely a lot of those places are people that are not very wealthy. They're people that don't have a lot of money and they lose their home, they're done.
Yes, yes. They're the poor neighborhoods and the neighborhoods of color.
Hmm.
Honestly, they're what they call sacrifice zones. The communities of color and poor communities are considered sacrifice zones, and that is where the pollution is being dumped. That's where people are living 200 feet away from oil drilling sites, and they have people working in hazmat suits outside their window, but they don't have hazmat suits on. They're just getting sick, and nobody's paying the doctor bills. You got people living, 5, 10, within 30 miles. 60% of African Americans live within 30 miles of a power plant.
Right.
I grew up a little less than 10 miles away from one in New Jersey. In fact, everybody knows the turnpike. If you've been to New Jersey and you've driven on the turnpike and it smells bad, that's that area, and that's creating air pollution.
What kind of a power plant was it? Is it?
It's the fat. It's like the power plant with the smoke coming out the top.
Oh, so it's like a coal burning.
Right. Well, I don't know necessarily if that one is
Well, where I grew up in Nebraska, all of the power in the middle of the state comes from a power plant
coal.
from coal,
That's
and
surprising.
it's dirty. It's
Yeah,
just awful,
that's not surprising.
right? So
Even
what?
places that aren't coal, they're still creating a lot of pollution.
Right,
I'm not,
right.
I've actually never tried to find out what's in the one in New Jersey, whether it's coal or not. But I do know that power plants in general, whether they're coal fired or not, they're creating pollution. Then you have incinerators, you have landfills. I mean, all of these are in neighborhoods of color.
Yeah, absolutely. And where I grew up wasn't a very wealthy town in the middle of Nebraska. It's just a little farm town. And, uh, if you don't have money, eh, eh, no,
So
right. What got you into this cause? Have you always been uh, on a cause and wanting to get it to?
kinda. When I was, I guess I was in fifth or sixth grade, and my school didn't have Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday off, and I started a little revolt in the school until we got the day off. And so that was little Antonique. So I suppose I've always had that activist spirit in me, but it wasn't until 2014 that I joined this movement. It was all around the same time as Black Lives Matter starting to, gain, that was like around the Trayvon Martin
Right.
time. And simultaneously, the Hip Hop Caucus was about to do the first album about climate change, full out album about climate change called Heal Our Mother Earth. And so I was going to sing Mercy, Mercy Me. And I'm a singer, so okay, yeah. But they said, well, before literally at the studio, before you sing, we want to talk to you and really make sure you understand what this is about and what's really going on. Because at the time, what I knew about climate change was polar bears and ice glaciers, and it seemed far away. It didn't seem relevant to me. I grew up in East Orange, New Jersey, and we don't have no polar bears. So
What?
it seemed like it did not
I
seem like it was something that was going to affect me, definitely no time soon. So it wasn't until they started to explain all the things, kind of some of the stuff that I was saying about how communities of color and poor communities are literally being killed right now with all the pollution, the air pollution, the water pollution. Like I ended up, once I got into the movement, I ended up visiting places where a whole apartment complex was built on an old landfill, and people are
oh,
literally dying in the whole community. There's this yellow wall, and you hear about the gun violence in Chicago. So I'm looking at the wall, and I'm like, did all of these people get shot or something? Long, huge mural with just names. And they said, no, these are all the people in the community who died from the effects of, living over this landfill. And I just I couldn't believe it. And I mean, once I got into it, I've seen so much. I've seen so much. It's unbelievable. But that first day, they started to give me stats and started to give me information, and I started to put two and two together, like, oh, Superstorm Sandy, well, that was us in Jersey. Oh my God. And Katrina, all of that stuff has to do with climate change. And oh my God, the power plants and all this stuff, yeah, these are in our neighborhoods. I had no idea that I'm you hear about climate change and it sounds far away, but the pollution that's causing climate change is killing us now. And so when they told me all these things, I was just like, whoa, and I just could not be involved. So obviously I sang "Mercy, Mercy Me." That was my contribution to that album, and I've been singing that song ever since. I done sang that song for the Pope. I done sang that song in Paris. I done sang that song everywhere. That and "Here Comes the Sun," which is because "Mercy, Mercy Me" talks about the issues. He's talking about poison is the wind that blows. That's air. He's talking about air pollution. He's very poetic, but poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east, and oil wasted on the ocean and upon our seas, fish full of mercury. He wrote that over 40 years ago. Where's that stuff that he's talking about is worse now than it was when he said it. Marvin Gaye, I'm talking about.
right, right.
Marvin Gaye. And so, that song is became kind of like the theme of the climate movement. And so I've had to sing that everywhere. And then I sing "Here Comes the Sun" as the second song, which is the hope, the solar power and all the things that we could do to to live and to be okay and to be healthy. Um, so that was 2014, and I've been full out, like all in, just until we're all okay, until we're not dying, until we're not dying. It's much work to be done.
Well, you said one thing that I think is really significant is you thought it was over there. And I think most people think that. If they can't experience it the minute they walk out their door, oh, it's not happening to me, it's over there.
Element, yeah, doesn't affect me.
Can I do something? Because I actually put this on my Facebook page. Can just hang with me for a minute. I wanna play something here.
Okay.
And
Here comes the sun, little darling. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. But here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
so I listened to that.
Remix. That's me and Jeremiah, the singer Jeremiah.
Oh, really?
Duet. Yeah, that's the remix.
Oh, well, I listened to it, but you have such a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
And I was going to say just before we go live, I may have a gig for you in June.
Okay.
Somebody said we may need um, a ringer And the whole time they said that, I've been thinking of you.
Oh,
And you'd have to sing gospel music in Houston.
I do that. I sing gospel. Yeah. In fact, I'm singing gospel in Genius Aretha.
Well, now that was the next thing I was getting to. What did you learn about Aretha that surprised you, or that you did?
I can't give you no spoilers, but there's a
Oh,
lot of surprising things in this show. Her life, man. Honestly, I just did not know. I did not. I mean, obviously, we all have things to overcome. Life is not easy for anybody.
right.
Everybody has something. Even the richest, most famous person who seems like everything is perfect, they love somebody who's hurting. Something is a challenge. There is challenges for every human being that's ever lived. I did not know how many challenges the great Aretha Franklin had. Man, like when you see how many challenges she had, it's almost more of a whoa. Like how did she ever become who she was? It's a miracle. It's a blessing.
Well, I think a lot of people don't understand that the time when she was really great and really famous,
Hmm.
were and all black artists especially, women made it even worse. It's first to be black, but to be a
Yeah,
black woman,
the hardest.
forget it.
Yeah, I agree.
And to overcome all that stuff.
Thank you for knowing that and saying that. Yes.
Well, I being a white guy and growing up playing with black musicians and being in towns where they are we're all treated bad because we're just together. It doesn't take long to get the experience, or
Right.
I will never understand because I'm not black,
Right.
but I get a sense of what it might be like because I'm around them when they're being treated bad.
Right.
And yeah, I can't imagine what it would be like in those days. I heard a story that what's the story about Louis Armstrong being invited to play for John F. Kennedy, and but they still made him go in through the service entrance. You know,
That was.
I mean, come on, right? It's
I didn't know that story. That's wow.
but those kinds of stories are things that you only kind of hear through the musicians. Oh yeah, did you know? Did you know? Until somebody digs it up and does a documentary or something.
Right. That's really what's beautiful about these type of things is that because you can read a book, you can read the autobiography, that type of thing, but man, it's about the visuals. It's something about really being able to see it, that you can take in what they really went through instead of imagining it, instead of just being able to imagine it, you can see it.
Yeah.
So you'll get to see what shaped her. She's
Mm,
extraordinary, man.
mm.
Extraordinary. Like,
Right, and an amazing singer. It's like,
yeah, and the way that she created arrangements, the things that she thought to do with her voice.
hmm,
Like it's one thing that to be able to do stuff with your voice. Even me, I can do stuff with my voice, but I'm not as creative as she was with the things that she thought to do with her voice. And
mm.
then she would take your song and just literally make it hers.
Do they have
Like, don't sing no more. It's her song now
okay.
because she done rearranged the hell out of that thing, and it's now this other thing. Respect was Otis Redding song, not no more. It's Aretha Franklin's now. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
She did that with so many songs. She did a lot of covers, a lot of covers, and honestly, I mean, from my studying of her, I feel like she probably did more covers than originals,
Mm,
but she made them so hers that it wasn't like a cover. It was just
mm.
hers. Oh, she was just, and her piano playing.
See, I didn't know she could play piano.
Most of the time, when you hear the playing in the songs, it's her.
See, I didn't know that. And
So much you're gonna respect her so much more too,
yeah.
even as a musician. When you see, she was just
Do they get into the process in which she thinks how she thinks the song through?
They show a lot of that. They show her in the studio. They show, they show. I don't. Oh, I don't want to spoil it because you get to see so many cool details that none of us ever knew
Mm,
about her process, about things that she thought to do, about people who, wanted to take credit for what she was doing, that kind of stuff. Like you'll see.
right. Okay, so again, that's on Nat Geo.
Yes,
What's that?
not
Nat Geo.
her just due. Her,
Oh, okay.
yeah, you'll see. Yeah,
A-
Nat Geo.
and this starting this
And
Sunday.
Hulu. Yeah,
And
starting this Sunday, March 21st on Nat Geo, 2 episodes a night, and then the day after each night they go to Hulu, and then by the 25th, when the whole season will, like it's 2 episodes a night, it's 8 episodes, so it'll be over in
yeah.
4 days. Then the next day, all episodes will be on Hulu, and you can binge it on Hulu if you want. But
So,
if you got Nat Geo, tune in.
do you get to sing in it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
I actually come in singing.
yeah.
Why my character comes in.
Well, like I was saying, I was sold on your voice when I heard it with Abe and Won't Be Silent. What was that like working with him on that project?
Oh man, that was so wonderful. It's right up my alley. You know, won't be silent. Being not silent is something that we've really had to do over the last couple of years, and that's why it was so important for us to do the project. And that's why he felt it was so important for him to do the project when he found out this incredible masterpiece that his uncle had written and the lives that it affected in the Holocaust, and then for him to discover that and repurpose it and say, today we need this today, we need to still save lives today with this song, with the same song that his uncle wrote. And so I was really, really excited when we met, and he told me about the project. He told me about what he was doing, and he was like, "I want to do versions of this song. I want you to do a version of this song." And I was like, "Okay." So we got in the studio, and I've already been on the not won't be silent on that. I've just been on that in life since 2014 about Black Lives Matter, because environmental justice and climate justice is a Black Lives Matter issue. I mean, I don't know if anything is a bigger issue than that. Millions
Right.
of cancer, asthma, millions are dying. So won't be silent was for me that's what it was about.
Right. And I think we've had a lot of discussions, or I've had a lot of discussions, basically, especially since the pandemic. And we're in the gigging community, right? That's why I started doing these podcasts or live streams, trying to shine some light on we're people that just aren't working. And
Yeah,
it's not because we don't want to.
right.
And
We literally cannot.
right. And so what comes up is the fact that 60% of us in this country are really not much more than lower middle class and down.
Yeah, for sure.
And all of those people underneath there are the people you're talking about.
Yeah,
And and it's a lot of people that are just sort of on the fringes. And I don't want to get too much in this because I have some more questions for you. But on Bill Maher, they said it the other day that uh, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos own 40% of the wealth in this country. Just those two guys.
two guys.
Right. So what's that tell you? I mean, you know. So then when you take it and just break it down like you've done about the where all of this climate change and everything is affecting people of color because people of color are living in those outside areas where the rest of the people are living the best lives ever.
Yeah,
Y-
yep.
And it's not right. It's not fair.
Why people of color are dying the most from COVID?
Hmm.
Because they're the ones that have the pre-existing conditions. They have the asthma, they have the cancer. They're out there on the front lines, and that's why that number is also disproportionately towards us. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
everything.
So that was a great film. The little thing that the clip that I showed with Abe, that was great. And then your documentary that you have coming out this Friday
Yes.
at DC.
Mama's Heat Wave.
Okay.
You can
And
go
then
to mamasheatwave.com to sign up for the free tickets.
and you produced that.
Yeah, I executive produced it. Yeah.
Okay.
They have great
Now, did you start being a singer first or an actor first?
did. I started, well, technically, I was in my grandparents' living room as like a 4 or 5 year old with a tape recorder making characters. I had my own little radio show and I was the host and the guests. And I was, doing little short stories and I would be all the characters. I'd be the men and the women. And, I was creating characters. So technically, and I did little puppet shows.
Oh,
Technically, I was an actor first. In my grandparents' living room in East Orange, New Jersey, I was probably an actor first. And then, my parents had Whitney Houston's album and I discovered her and that made me want to sing. Then I began singing in church in the choir, and the voice started to really, develop. I mean, slowly. I couldn't have been on Star Search when I it was a slow development, but thank God I got there. And then God blessed me with some kind of voice. But yeah, I'd say acting was what I was entertaining myself with as a kid first.
mhm.
I didn't know it. I didn't know what I was doing. But I think that was the skill that I was honing at the time. And then when I discovered singing, that became what I felt like I needed to do. That that was it. I had to sing, even if I was going to act in the future. I had to sing first. I had to put out my music. And so I was like 12 years old in the studio, like trying to be an artist. And I was in my teens and I was in New York singing, and an agent heard me singing, and she said, "I want to. Do you have an agent?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Well, I'd love to represent you." I was like, "Okay. I mean, you okay?" So she started sending me out on acting gigs, and I started booking. And so, although I had been trying to sing for all those years, it was acting that came to me and just kind of was like, here. And so I booked my first job on 100 Center Street. Sidney Lumet, who directed The Wiz,
Yeah.
my first job, he said, "You're an amazing actress with a great career ahead of you." And he gave me my first job.
W- Well, wait. Had you had any training? Had you been to?
No, I mean, I had, like school plays, church plays, like that, but I hadn't been to like school. And so that was crazy. And then the next thing I booked was Rent on Broadway. So, which was a combination of acting and singing. So all
Right.
my skills got completely elevated by that experience, and my life got elevated by that.
Mm,
Jonathan Larson,
mm,
rest his soul, wrote a masterpiece that
mm,
touched so many people. A show about love and and just appreciating today and being in the moment and not worrying about the things that the regrets because that like forget regret or life is yours to miss. And so the lessons I learned from being in that show, the friends, the lifelong friends that
mm.
I still have from being in that show, um, just amazing. And I mean, I don't usually tell this part of the story, but I saw the show when I was in high school, like early high school. And Mimi was up there doing Out Tonight, and I was like, I'm in the nosebleed section. I'm a Leo. I could do that. Now, mind you, I hadn't done anything. I had never done anything but school plays and church plays, and I'm like up there like I could do that. And then 10 years later, I was doing that, which is crazy. Like 4 years later, I was doing that.
Wow.
So, my journey honestly has been unorthodox, but such a blessing, man. I don't know how I got here, but it's been amazing.
Well, based on what you've just told me, there was certainly a gift you were blessed with
Thank God.
that, you know,
I prayed for that gift too when I was
w-
about 7 in church. I was praying for that gift.
it was almost like the Blues Brothers. I'm on a mission from God. God, and bam. But
Something like that.
so, how long did you do Rent?
On and off for 5 years. I kept
Wow.
leaving. Yeah, they kept wanting me to stay. I kept leaving. I do regret not going. I left Rent, so I became the poster girl. I was on the cabs.
Wow.
I know it was amazing. I'm still the poster girl actually. And I left in 2007. And I just was like, because I cried real tears every night. I was singing hard. I was dancing hard. I was going extra. I was giving it 100% when I didn't even need to. I could have kind of had this is what I do. This is my show. Just do the same show every night. I was trying to be in the moment. And my father was like, you got to stop crying every night. It's not healthy. But I wanted everybody to feel, when you really cry, other people feel it.
Right.
So I wanted everybody to feel it. I wanted everybody to feel it. So I definitely didn't have much of a social life. I was recuperating every night just to make sure I had a great show the next day. So at some point I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I didn't know, and I really wanted to do music. I wanted to do movies. So I was just like, you know what? This has been amazing. No, you guys could not pay me more. I don't want more money. I want to go. I love you all. And I left. And 2 weeks later, I got the audition to play Faith Evans in Notorious.
Oh, wow.
So I took a leap
What?
of faith. That's actually a line in the show. I took a leap of faith, and it paid off. But I do wish, once I finished shooting Notorious in 2008, I do wish I had went back to Rent to close the show.
Mm,
I wish I had went to close because it ended in 2008 on Broadway, and I wish they asked me to come back, and I know they say forget regret or life is yours like this, but I do regret that. I do
no.
regret
Wait, I think some people don't really quite understand how grueling
that.
Broadway is.
Grueling,
It, y-
grueling.
it's way different than when you're standing on set for 14 hours.
Yes, when you're sitting and waiting for other people to do stuff, there's a lot of waiting involved on shooting, and there's cut. So if somebody screws up something, everybody can okay reset. Da, 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 da.
Right.
Broadway, I've seen people fall out. I've seen people go to the bathroom by mistake on stage. I've seen all kinds of, and you gotta keep going. The show does not stop.
That's right.
Literally, if something breaks, if something spills, everybody is trying to figure out collectively how to keep the show going. Okay, you do, all right, okay, just try to keep it going, like just on your feet, and that's how it is.
It's grueling, and you might have a bit of a cold or something someday, but you don't know. Nobody cares.
I had a real bad show one time. I was sick, and I had taken something that was supposed to be like a decongestant.
Oh,
They dried my voice out, and so I was doing another day, and I was like, I mean, like I'm singing, and it was just like, and I was like, oh no,
oh, what did that do? Did it just like did your heart just kinda like
oh,
sink into your
my heart
stomach?
completely dropped. Oh,
Oh,
I have my voice is literally not coming out. And I mean, my mouth kept going, and you could hear little squeaks, but I was not singing. And then, and when you're trying to push it, it starts to like, it was bad.
yeah. Man. So, now you get this movie, this part,
Notorious.
and that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to make movies, and obviously you've been doing a lot of acting in film and TV now. What How has that been compared to, well, we know what Broadway was like, so now you got this. And do you get to sing much in any of these other things, or you're just mainly an actor?
I sang a little bit in Notorious. There's this scene where Faith Evans is in the studio, and after she beats up the girl that Biggie's cheating on her with, which is my favorite scene. When I get to beat that girl up, that is my favorite scene. That was for girl power. That's for all of the times that we've been cheated on that we cannot beat the girl up.
Yeah.
It's for all of us, ladies. Um, so yeah, so I sing a little bit, just a little after that, and then that movies is how a lot of people know me. That became kind of what I'm most known for, and I love making movies and I love television because you're creating a character and it's a moment, it's a thing with a bunch of people, and then you move on. Like Broadway was the same words, the same movements, the same everything you could think of. It's the same every night. It's meant to literally be the same. every single night. And so the variety that you get, like today, you might have a scene, in a movie or a television show that it's kind of funny, but it could even be it could be a drama where half the time, you're going through some craziness, but today is a funny scene. And so there's just more variety, and I enjoy the more variety, and I enjoy the fact that, I'm not kicking downstairs. I mean, it was tough. It was tough, I'm kicking downstairs and dancing and jumping off of stuff.
No, no, what, I gotta say, knowing a little bit of how all that works, that it's like being an NBA basketball player. I mean, you get out there and you're using everything,
Everything.
and there's no resting.
No.
No,
You
it's like full court press.
stage and actually you're back there changing clothes for the next scene. But that's, I mean, so I can imagine that Tom Cruise and them doing like the Mission Impossible. I can imagine that that's grueling because they're running and they're jumping and they're doing all these stunts and everything. But even with that, they do say cut, and then he gets to take a little sip of water and do a
Right.
little talking as they reset and they get ready, and then they do it again. So it does look like he did all of that in one big shot, but it's broken down. So even the gruelingness of film and television is still a little less grueling because, like you
Mm,
said, everything is working all at once, the whole show, when you're on Broadway.
right. There's no
Rent. So I don't know, maybe some other shows are a little easier, but Rent was
rent was pretty hard. So my oldest daughter is the front of house sound mixer for Chicago
oh nice.
at the Ambassador. Well, not right now, but she was doing that.
Everybody's right.
And and some of those people phone that in. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
you know,
a lot of people do. They phone it in. It's like this is my routine. I don't even have to think about it. This okay. This happens, and you don't. You can go into an autopilot. I fought autopilot so hard, which is why
mm,
at some point I wanted to leave because I never wanted to go into autopilot.
mm, yeah, it's so easy to do.
Yeah,
I think for some people when they've been there.
it would have been easy for me to do. I just didn't want to. I could have totally did that. Oh shoot.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I got this. I got it. Just yeah, it's cool.
I could
So,
have went on an autopilot, but I
um,
fought against it.
now, when you're doing all the movies and on the sets, are you fascinated by the process and all the tech behind and all the production?
Bit of it. Literally, when I first started, I used to probably bug every department because I would be like, "So what you doing? So show me, can you show me what is this?" And I'm asking the script supervisor, and they're telling me, "Oh yeah, so I write this. This is what that means." And I'm over by the sound guys. And I'm like, "So what y'all doing?" I'm like, I love the whole process. Like love it. I literally like. To me, it's magic because my first experience on a set was when I did a little feature in Across the Universe, the movie that Julie Taymor
Yeah,
did about the Beatles. The Beatles. Well,
yeah.
it wasn't about
Oh,
the Beatles, but it was with their
yeah. That was.
movie was incredible, right?
Mhm.
So I was one of the little hookers. Joe Cocker, who sang "Come Together," was my pimp. I don't know if you
Oh,
can remember that
I vaguely.
vaguely. So we shot it. We happened to shoot it in Newark, which is 5 minutes from my house. And I've seen the street. We actually rehearsed on the street during the day one time before we shot a couple of days before. I've seen the street my whole life. I know the street. The street is just the street in Newark. When I got to the set that night to shoot, they had turned that street into 1960s New York City. There was awnings and neon lights, and I just was like,
How
oh,
did they do that?
bit me. I was like, oh, I gotta do more movies. Oh my God, I love this. And I was only on set one night, but it was just like, oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. Like, this is like, oh, this is what I want to do. And I was on Broadway at the time.
Yeah.
In fact, it was one of my first weeks as Mimi, and of course, I got sick because it was 30 degrees. So
Mm.
right after my first week, I was like, guys, I'm sick. Because I'm out there with shorts on in 30-degree weather. You know,
Right.
when they yelled cut, they did put a big coat over me, and I had hot chocolate. But when you're out
Oh,
in that kind of weather with no clothes on, um, You know,
And sometimes I wonder how people do that when it's cold and they're standing out there and they gotta act like everything's cool.
do that a lot now. I've had to do that several times, and it sucks. I
Mm,
say it well, unless you like the cold. I, for one, am a summer baby. I do not like the cold at all.
yeah.
It hurts. It makes my bones hurt.
Me too. I don't like cold. As a matter of fact, if it gets below 70, I don't wanna go outside.
Same here.
I
Me too.
it's 70, I'm putting on a jacket.
Freezing. Yes, I agree. I'm so with
Right,
you. I'm
right?
there. Yes.
So, one thing that I wanna point out, because we are in the pandemic and we are in the gigging world, what people don't understand or have failed to understand even a year into this thing, and some things are opening back up, but all of the people that made that set happen, there are hundreds of people that do all that stuff that are not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and that's the thing that sort of depressed me about hearing all of this when it first came down. Well, just go get a job. There's other jobs. Well, come on now. Come on, right?
Right.
Right? Did anybody ever say that to you? Has anybody ever said, "What are you ever going to get any real work?" Have you ever heard that?
Back in the day, yeah. When I
Way
first
back.
started, when there was little moments, like, well, not moments, years between things.
Mm,
Yeah, it was like, you could just go get a job. It's like, oh no, I mean, I could try to just go get a job, but this is what I love, and if I do that, I can't do this.
right. For people that aren't
Skills, like I didn't
right, right. That's what,
go to college. I don't know how to do nothing else. This is what I do.
right. 'Cause when somebody says that to me, I say, "Well, about all I could qualify for is Starbucks," and
Right.
they,
Exactly.
you know, and
Exactly.
they
For
and
me,
they look at
Starbucks was closed too, guys. So,
right?
you
Come on, right?
know.
So now what of all of the processes in making the movies are you wanting to develop? You said you produced this last thing. Are you wanting to do more of that and be the person that pulls all that stuff together because it's so cool?
Yeah, I am. I am. The thing I see, people ask me if I want to direct. I don't think at this point, at least, if you ask me right now, I don't want to direct. There's a amount of creativity that you have to think of everything as a director. Like you have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? More proactive. Whereas with producing, you have different departments that bring you ideas. They bring you things, and I'm good at like tweaking. I'm good at saying, okay, that, not that, but that, and then boom, and that's going to work. I'm good at that. I don't want to have to be the director who's sitting and creating how everything goes and visualizing everything. I want to be able to take stuff, other ideas from other people, and make something of those ideas that's a great product. That's what I'm good at.
Mm.
At least that's what I feel like I'm good at right now, and that's what I'm brave enough to try. I'm just not
Great.
brave enough to try the directing thing. And then on set and having to make sure that
See, well, I admire being brave because this is what I know about what you're just describing. When you're the person going, I'll take that, 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 and that. Okay, all of this means my choices and my decisions, my butt's the one that's on the line.
that's true. That's
So
true.
it takes a little brave. You
Pressure doing that than directing for whatever reason.
well, maybe you don't feel the pressure because it's so natural for you to do, and you have a sense of, well, I know this is what it should be.
Mm,
And it feels more comfortable for you, and it doesn't feel brave at all because it just sort of sits with you okay.
right. That could
And your natural person just says, I can do this.
right.
But directing, you're no, I get
I'm good on direct.
every time I think of what it would be like to be a director, I would only think of Steven Spielberg and go, "Nah, forget it. I won't even
Right.
try."
Um,
You know?
like
How
I watched One Night in Miami
mhm,
with Regina King. I don't know how she did it. Like I literally tried to watch and think to myself as a director, how would I have? I don't know. She killed it,
right?
and I don't. I just don't have. I don't know. I just
And also, do you think in terms of how they set up the shots and I mean, what those guys are all thinking
Right.
and
She's setting up the shots. Like
right.
the director's storyboard. They come up with how they want to see the whole thing. That's
Yeah.
a lot more vision than taking other people's visions and putting them together.
Mm,
That's kind of what a producer does. They take other
right.
people's visions. They take how the director thinks he wants things to go. They take the set designer's ideas. Okay, great. They take this department. That okay. I love that song. Other departments are bringing the ideas to the producer. Of course, they have to choose the right people to hire, but
Right.
they're bringing those people that they've chosen to hire are bringing great ideas, and they just get to choose from them. And I like that a lot better than having to actually come up with the ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, it's hard for me to be creative, but sometimes I can see this person's creative. Oh, that's great. Oh, and that works. The two of those things would work.
Exactly. That's kind of like producing.
And that's a real set of skills
Yeah.
as well because not everybody does that very well.
Right. We can see that sometimes when we
Nope.
watch.
You watch the movie, you go,
That's good.
who put this thing together, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Okay, so I had this happen to me recently where uh, I used to play drums and I decided I wanted to quit, just because I'm doing audio for a living now. And I heard a drummer and it made me so feel funky that I just wanted to pick up the stick and I'm like,
Feel
get out of the way. No.
the feeling about singing. I know that feeling. Like, let me just give me that mic.
So
Yeah.
so what have something like that come up for you even in acting? Like when you're doing something and you're going like, just let me do it. I got your line.
Yeah. Well, not I wouldn't say in person, but watching stuff. Watching stuff
Hmm.
like, oh man, I could have if I had
like like when you first saw when you were on Broadway and said, I can do that.
yeah.
Y-
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Same.
So what do you have? What's your plans now? We've got about 10 minutes left. I've been talking to you for 50 minutes
Oh,
and it's been a blast.
it's going so fast, right? Time flies
Yeah.
when you're having fun.
I've enjoyed every minute of it. And um, what are you looking forward to doing now after this week? Is this big weekend for you? You got Friday, and then you've got next Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, right.
And are you going to take a breath after that? Are you going to try to get to Maui or something? Or
You know what? I should, right?
where do you live in LA?
Mhm.
Well, it's been pretty. No, it's kind of chilly right now.
Yeah, I don't go anywhere. I literally don't leave the house. Literally. And then when I'm in Jersey, I don't leave the house.
Wow,
Yeah, I've just been in the house the entire COVID.
for this whole year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Have you done any there's been a few little acting things have you done in this last year where they make you test and
No, well, I've auditioned a bit, but
yeah.
everything's self-taped. You just tape it at your house.
Mhm.
I actually had to do ADR for Genius in my closet. So ADR is where usually you're in a recording studio. There's a huge TV screen in front of you.
Right,
Not even a TV screen, like a movie screen. There's like a movie screen in front of you and a microphone, and they have the words there that you're supposed to overdub to make it more perfect. Or if there was some kind of messed up sound, but they like to
right,
just want to fix that one line. That's what ADR is. I know you know that, but
right.
the viewer.
The viewers don't.
So usually you're in a studio, and because of COVID, I personally didn't feel comfortable. They sent a box. You open the box. There's a iPad in the box. There's a mic that you just lift up out of the box, and I set the box up on something so that it was kind of like in my,
Yeah,
right in my face.
do. So I live streamed this to my Facebook page. And then after it's all done, if there was any glitches, I put it all together in a nice video and then I posted it on my YouTube channel. So then everybody can see it without all the goofiness that happens whenever anybody has to deal with me. There's some goof involved.
Hilarious. Love
So um so anyway, what I wanted to just ask you is what you have coming up that you're maybe doing after this next week.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to Maui or vacation or anything. I
Mm.
usually don't do that. I'm just gonna, continue to be productive around the house. I have things that I do. I'm also an entrepreneur. Stuff. Yeah, I don't talk about that stuff.
What? What?
Yeah.
What? What?
I don't talk
Come
about
on.
it, but I do stuff. So I have other stuff that I do. Um,
You selling anything?
Doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, actually, I'm about to launch on allnewantonique.com. I have my website, but it's not been updated in like literally like 5 years. And so I'm using an entirely new platform that I have been able to design the site. Mwah!
Nice.
Yeah, so I can't wait to launch it. And I'm going to have a merch store with Antonique stuff that people can buy. So that's the first time I've ever done that. Well, that's not true. I mean, I used to, like, even when I was in Rent, somebody made t-shirts for me with my face on it. And,
Nice.
when Hold Up, Wait a Minute, the song that I got Grammy nominated for, that was my first song. We made t-shirts. So not to say that I never had merch, but I never had a merch store with a bunch of stuff on it. So I'm excited about that. And that I'm working a little bit overtime to get that out before Genius. I want it to be out before Sunday. I don't know if I'll make it, but my goal is to really put it out very soon.
That's quite a bit of work, though, doing that.
Oh, I know. It's coming out so good too. I'm so proud.
Oh, good, good.
I'm a web designer, but I did it myself, and I'm really proud of it.
Well, I think well, and you should be. This is one thing that you already know, but whenever you decide you want to try to do something, you decide and you start going, and all of a sudden you're going, there's a lot to this.
Yeah, sometimes you learn that the hard way. There's a lot more to this than I thought.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Grammy nominated song again was
Hold Up, Wait a Minute. And there's a
and
of that on also on YouTube.
well, this is what I can do. I can play that song
Okay.
when to close the show.
I think
well,
a more, especially since we're in COVID, a song called "All We Really Have Is Now." It's awesome.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I think that would be a good closer.
Okay.
It's a message that I feel like I continuously need to hear, and I think other people could use it too.
Okay.
On the future and the past, and the future hasn't happened yet, and the past doesn't really exist. It's gone, and so all we really have is now.
The present moment. Okay, I will play that. And thank you for spending some time with me. And I'm so glad that I kept after you.
Me too. I know I'm terrible with the emails, Jeff. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Although I think it was perfect that it happened now with everything coming out. But
yeah. I'm glad that I was able to talk with you and find out about you and the stuff you have going.
yeah.
So I'll play this song and I'll just put up, fade us out, and I'll repost it on YouTube and all of the glitches out.
Thank you, Jeff.
Do I test your patience with my stubborn silence? Do you really want to know what's on my mind? Well, here I go again, spoiling paradise.